Hey.
Home of Africa's youth, the 77%.
Hey, it's me again, Eddy Micah Jr. with the 77%. This is your platform because, just like me, you are part of the youth that make up the majority in Africa. Now, there are so many wonderful ideas on how to better our continent. Great ideas, if you ask me. But sharing or taking these ideas to other African countries must include traveling. However, it can be such a headache when you cannot easily travel within your own continent. Yes, I'm talking about how ridiculously challenging it is for you and I to travel within our own continent. Beautiful cities. I'd love to go to these cities, but some of them will be too hectic to get into. Now, this is my Ghanaian passport. As you know already, I am from Ghana. Now, I can travel to 27 different African countries without a visa or get visa on arrival. Not bad, but what about the other 27 African countries? Now, I would have to apply for a visa and cross my fingers that I get it. Now, it's pretty annoying. But I'm not the only one who thinks this is a problem. These young people from Nigeria feel the same.
Possibility of getting your visa where the visa is needed is very difficult because you go through a strenuous process. You have to apply long time before your travel date.
And it's also a source of income. Once you start like that, you can go into different illegal means to survive and to keep your friends.
It's a tug of war because they have termed Nigeria a corrupt country, and if you see most countries, they don't like us to come in because they believe we will come and influence their people, and when we influence their people, it tends to it spurs up corruption in their own country. So it's a negative aspect for them, so they don't allow us to come in.
Did you know that it is generally more difficult for Africans to travel within Africa than for most foreigners to travel in Africa? Oh yeah, it is. You didn't think so. Now you know. Now, I'm not saying that traveling within our continent is an easy thing to do because Africa is, after all, made up of 54 different countries. But still, as a continent, an African country imposing visa requirements for another is, for me, just ridiculous. South Africa, for example, has so many restrictions on other Africans entering the country. However, it is more welcoming to Europeans, Americans, Australians, and other foreigners. Why is that? Now, I'm not playing any hate game here, but this is a question I put to Stephanie Dabandi, an expert on immigration in Cape Town.
We have to go all the way back to when we started with our immigration legislation and our framework. And one of the biggest issues or reasons, therefore, is because our policy framework or regime is based on our historical ties to Europe, really. We are working on a current white paper immigration that's more Africa orientated. So we're aware of it, the government's aware of it, and they do want to implement changes, and they are in the process. But I think that's really the bottom line.
The beautiful island of Seychelles is the only African country that does not require visitors to get visas before setting foot on those sandy beaches. Easy travels, then you enjoy the beach. Why not? Now, as a result, Seychelles saw an average 7% increase per year in international tourism into the country between 2009 and 2014. Now, there is evidence that open visa policies can boost the economic fortunes of countries that adapt them. So, back to Stephanie. Why are we not taking it more seriously than we ought to?
As a South African living in South Africa, working with the Department of Home Affairs generally, and working with South Africans generally, unfortunately, people are generally slow. There's no urgency, there's no rush. No, really, it's very frustrating. There's no concept of urgency. Everything is delayed, everything is put off. Just very recently, the minister announced that more countries were exempt, including African countries. So they are taking slow step towards it, but I think that's just the nature of the beast. Things happen slowly, yeah.
Well, clearly it has to be taken more seriously than this. Rwanda, for example, has benefited immensely from its more open attitude. Its revenue from tourism grew by 4% in 2014 to $305 million. Yeah, $305 million. Another thing that makes traveling within Africa seem like going to space is because the airfares are too expensive. Forget it. If you don't have this, you stay where you are. Now, it is much cheaper, 50 to 70% cheaper, to fly to Europe, the UAE, and sometimes North America than it is to fly within the African continent. For example, you will find return flights at over $1,200 for Nairobi to Dakar, but you will find return tickets from Nairobi to Dubai for $350 or Nairobi to London for $600. Half the price or less than that. So why do we allow other Africans to spend their money on tourism elsewhere when this same money can be spent within Africa to boost the overall economy? I don't get it. More importantly, how in the world do we expect the 77%, you and me, Africa's majority for that matter, to share and implement ideas with one another if moving within the continent is so expensive? Now, I'm not saying that nothing is being done to encourage visa-free entry to other African countries. That's not what I'm saying, so don't get me wrong. The African Development Bank, which monitors visa openness of countries, says at least 21 countries have loosened or scrapped their visa rules altogether. Kudos to countries like Seychelles, Uganda, Togo. My country, Ghana, is number 6, but Ghana, not good enough. We can do better. No? Yeah, good. Others like Angola, Sudan, Equatorial Guinea have a long way to go. All in all, if we seek prosperity, if we seek unity, then we should open the borders.
Tear down this wall.
Exactly. Thanks, Ronald. Now, 2 years ago, the African Union launched a continental passport to encourage open borders. It's supposed to be in effect by 2020. But, Stephanie, how realistic is this?
You know, we take one step forward and then at the same time, it's 2 steps back. We start with this great immigration system, and then suddenly, with one business day's notice, the pendulum swings from the left to the right, and it's just shut down borders. We don't know what's going on. System changes. We have court orders that's being ignored. We go to court for contempt for not doing the job or not doing their jobs properly. These aren't reasons why you go to court.
Now, at the end of the day, it is an established fact that it is crucial for we as Africans to be able to move freely within our own continent. And a visa-free Africa should be achieved sooner rather than later. Forget Vision 2020. I'm done. I can only hope that my voice reaches all these different African leaders and that sooner, really sooner than later, it will not be a dream, but a reality. Oh, by the way, don't forget to like and subscribe below, right here. All you got to do is click on it. But now the ball is in your court. See you later in the next edition. I have a flight to take. I need to work on my visa.